Welcome back, my friend. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. And today, we're talking about the finish line. Last week, we talked about the power of the start line, and I told the story about how me and my daughter ran a half marathon with very minimal training and how awesome it was. And today, I'm going to talk about once you've done the thing that you were excited about, and for me, that was that half marathon. And now it's the power of the finish line. You signed up for it, you made a commitment, and you executed, and then you finished. And now what do? Some of the biggest disappointment is not the right word, but this sense of emptiness has come in my life when I had a big goal, something I was working towards, and then I got it. The biggest one for me probably was when I was 20. From 18 to 20, I wanted to be a firefighter so bad. I lived it. I slept it. I dreamed it. And for 2 years, I worked really hard. I went to the paramedic school. I went to the fire academy. And it was everything I could put into making that happen. I did, and it did. I was successful. I made a goal, and I accomplished my goal. And it was awesome. For a couple of years, it was amazing. And then, just before I got married I got married at 25. So 3 or 4 years, I had some regrets, and I had some feelings like I missed out on my chance to be 20 and to be super irresponsible. And I think part of that is because I didn't take a time to kind of take a breath till I went to, and I moved on to the next thing. I didn't take a time to go, oh, this is amazing. What was successful. And I didn't do that. I just kind of went on to the next thing. I went on to becoming, getting into tech rescue, and I went into all this, and I didn't take a chance to truly just breathe it in and analyze what I did right, what I did wrong. And I don't want that for you. And so what I've developed, and I've done this on or off throughout my life, is when you're successful and you finish whatever goal it is, I want you to take a good 3-day period. And one, I want you to celebrate. It is so important to say, man, that was awesome. I'm that marathon I ran yesterday, or half marathon. It's awesome. Now, my studio's in my basement, so I had to walk down my stairs to get here. My legs are so sore. They are not awesome, but it was just such a great moment. In the race, the last, probably got to mile 11, I started hurting a little bit more than I would like to. And my daughter said, hey, when we get to mile 12, you want to pick it up. And at a mile 11, I said, oh, yeah, let's do that. And when we got to mile 12, I told her, I'm Tinky. This is where I'm at. She's like, are you okay? She's like, you can do it, Dad. Which, I got a little bit emotional because she was, encouraging me. So my whole life, you encourage your kids. You push them to do better. You're excited about what they do, and you're motivating them. And I was not feeling great. And she was encouraging me, and it was such a great moment. So one, when you finish something, take a moment just to relive the greatness. It was an awesome experience that I had with my daughter, running a half marathon, finishing it. We did minimal training, and we were successful. And today I'm basking in that feeling of success. It was good. The problem, sometimes you go, okay, well, what's next? You finish the race, and then you get on your phone, you sign up for the next race. Just take a second, relax, and enjoy the effort you just put in. After you've celebrated, I do want you to rest mentally and physically. Like today, I thought about signing up for overtime at work, and I decided that would be a bad idea. And I'm just hanging out. I got a little bit of work to do. I'm going to do a little light physical activity, but I'm resting and recovering. Anytime you put a lot of effort in something, we need to rest. As human beings, we need to be able to shut off and just chill out. Maybe I wish I would have scheduled a massage. That would have been a good idea, but just relax. So rejoice, then relax. And then once you've given yourself a chance to do that, I want you to review. Reviewing is really important. In the fire service, we call it an after action review. And anytime anything bad happens, or a big fire, or maybe there's a fatality at the fire, we review it. And as a leader, one of the first things I do is I express the things that I feel like I personally could have done better. And if you can be critical with yourself without being harsh on yourself, I think it's really important. So if I was using the race as an analogy, my review would be I was not physically prepared to run that race. Now, I guess to take that back, I was physically prepared. I had a level of general fitness that allowed me to run for about 2.5 hours. So I had that, but I did have my risk of getting injured was a lot higher because I had only run about 45 miles this whole summer, which is not nearly enough. So, I was playing the risk benefit a little bit closer than I would like to. There was a little more risk than there was benefit, but I was okay. So, that was acceptable. But my nutrition for the day was good. My hydration for the day was good. I didn't have that sloshy belly and, so that was dialed in. So what did I do bad? I could have been better prepared. I could have trained a little more. What did I do good? My nutrition was good. My change of clothing, what I was wearing was good. Do that with whatever you did. You signed up for something. Maybe this was a project at work, a presentation. It's okay to be harsh or critical of yourself because that's how you learn, but don't beat yourself up. My daughter, she ran her first cross-country race this season, and she was not happy with her results. And she was embarrassed because people came to watch her, and she just felt like she was slower than she should have been. And I asked her, did you earn a faster time? Did you work as hard as you could? Do you feel like you earned it? She's like, I don't think I earned a faster time. Well, then you did okay. What did you earn? What effort did you put in? I think that's really important. So just take some time and review your finish line. How did you feel? What could you have done different? What did you do good? What did your team do good? It's important. Did you set the right goals? They say it's a project for work and you feel you knocked it out of the park, but maybe when you look back to the planning, did I actually plan for the results that I wanted? Or was it a success because it just was and everyone's happy, but did you actually hit the numbers? And so when you go back to look at the things that you were working on, did you plan for what you thought would be success? It's important. Did you prepare and then execute what you prepared? It's very interesting in the fire service. We have guys, and everybody does this. You plan on what you're going to do if this happens. One of the scariest and most dangerous and most important things for us to get good at is for when someone calls a mayday, one of our own says mayday, that means they're having a problem. So they fell through the hole in the floor. They got knocked unconscious. Now our job is to go get them. And we practice this. And a lot of guys have tools. Like they'll have webbing in their pocket, and the idea is that you're going to put the webbing around the guy's shoulder straps and then drag them out, or you're going to create some fancy harness and pull on them. Well, when we train, so that's the preparation. We're preparing for something bad. We have these tools to help us. But when we train, we put people in high-stress situations. They're almost never able to deploy the tools that they think they're going to do. So their execution doesn't line up with their preparation. So there's two options. One is you're preparing for the wrong thing. In a mayday situation, I know that I'm just going to grab a hold of the dude's shoulder straps and yank him out and pull him as far as I can so I'm physically exhausted. Now, once I'm physically exhausted and hopefully I've moved into a safer place, then maybe I can, I bought myself some time to do some of the other things, but I know step one is just to yank him out. So I'm preparing for that. What does that mean? I'm working out. I'm getting my heart rate up and then trying to do complex things. That's preparation. Then when I'm training, that's execution. We're preparing for it by working out and being in shape and thinking through it. And then we do these scenarios where it's the actual execution, and hopefully those things start to line up. So it's important that our preparation and our execution are lining up, and we're just pushing ourselves towards that. If you had complete failure, like I mentioned in my last podcast, yesterday was a success. I ran 13.1 miles. I'm very happy. Several years ago, I signed up for a 50 miler. It wasn't really a 50 miler. It was a 24-hour race, and it was however many miles you can get in 24 hours. And I wanted to get 50, and I got 36, and I failed. I left the race. I didn't stay to the end. I didn't try to squeak out a couple more laps. I just quit. And failure can be an amazing learning opportunity. You finish the thing, you look back and go, why was that unsuccessful? And for me, it was a lack of training. I just hadn't put the miles in. I just didn't, my feet weren't prepared, my knees weren't prepared, my back wasn't prepared, I mentally wasn't prepared. During that race, my wife called me and said one of my daughters was sick and she had thrown up, and I said, do you need me to come home? She's like, no, it's going to be okay. I'll figure it out. And I just went, no, I'm coming home. Well, I just need an excuse to leave. If I was really mentally dialed in, not that I don't want to be with my kids that are sick, but my wife is totally capable of handling sick kids. She is an amazing woman who's very capable. I use that as an excuse to just, you know what, it's not worth it. And I quit. I failed. So if I'm going to do something that's important, I need to look at the things that caused me to fail. And so in the future, if something is really important to me, I have to run through the models. What do I do when this happens? What do I do when that happens? What could cause me to fail, and how do I remove that? And so you go through this planning process, this review process. I want you to take all that information and then use it to make you better for the next time. Realize that, if you failed, you can now succeed. It's not who you are. And that really requires like a growth mindset. Sometimes we get fixed, and some people are totally fixed for their whole life that I'm a failure and I'll never be able to do this because, when I was in high school, I was terrible at this. That's not the way to be. That's not a way to be successful when you're always going backwards and showing yourself how much you failed. The purpose of this is to, even if you did fail, why did you fail? Remove the things that caused you to fail so that you do the next thing and you're successful. And, after your finish line, after you've rejoiced it, after you've rested, and after you reviewed it, go sign up for the next thing and get prepared to do it. And I think this is the natural way that successful people are successful. They compartmentalize their lives into moments where they can prepare for amazing things, and you can do that. The other thing that I think is important, that's like on a big level, right? You're talking about big life goals, big life things, but I think we can do this on a daily basis, where at night we go through the process of, how did I do today? Was I successful? Did I hurt anybody? Is there anybody that I need to ask for forgiveness? Is there anybody that maybe I need to call on the phone and say, man, I messed up today. It wasn't great. Was there any place that I failed just today and I could have done better? Maybe I lost my cool. And if I did, and I've asked for forgiveness, how do I prevent myself from doing that in the future and then be prepared for tomorrow? So it doesn't have to be a big thing. This can be a small thing that you do every night. I'm actually doing something similar to this every night for the next 7 days. I haven't shared this with you yet, but I am currently doing the Strenuous Life Challenge. A great podcast is called The Art of Manliness. Brett McKay, he's the host there, and he has this thing called the Strenuous Life Challenge, and it's 12 weeks, and I am on week 4. The first week I took a cold shower every day for 7 days. The second week I read a book. The third week I did the Army physical fitness test from World War II. And this week I am examining myself every night, answering these questions, recalling anything from the day, which I was especially grateful for, and I give thanks. I review the day. I recall the events for the day from start to finish, noticing where I felt God's presence and where I accepted and turned away from invitations to grow in love. I showed sorrow. I recalled any actions for which I was sorry for. And then I asked for forgiveness. I asked God to forgive me, decided whether I wanted to reconcile with anyone that I hurt, and then grace. I asked God for grace for the next day and my ability to see God's presence more clearly. This is not a Christian challenge, but that's the Christian version of this, but you could make this agnostic if you wanted to. But it's just a way of reviewing my day and making sure that I was the person that I wanted to be. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be the best version that you could possibly imagine for yourself. And I hope this podcast has been helpful. I hope you are continuing to learn. If you are, I would love a rating and review. I'm trying to increase that because I'm trying to increase my reach with this podcast. I really appreciate you listening in. As always, my name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title Podcast, and I will talk to you later. Bye.